I was asked, how do I not lose interest in BJJ? I find this question rather interesting, seeing that I've been practicing Jiu-Jitsu for 20 years and I have never lost interest in BJJ. I feel like it's always got something to challenge you, and you can always get better. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. And my professor always says that Jiu-Jitsu does not start until you get your black belt. And I think all black belts totally understand that statement. In fact, I was even sharing this with some of my students the other day. And then one of my students, who was pretty funny, he said, "Okay, so what are we doing right now?" He's a white belt. And so I laughed and I said, "Well, I guess you guys are doing pre-jitsu." Yeah, I don't know. I had never really had this issue, losing interest in BJJ. I mean, it's my full-time job and I do it from pretty much time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. I'm either researching or running my business or training or teaching. And so it's just a big part of my lifestyle. Now, in order for me to kind of look at a different lens, people have not made jiu-jitsu their life. Not most people that do it are hobbyists. So what kind of recommendations can I give them to keep jiu-jitsu fresh and not lose interest? Well, I think now in the way jiu-jitsu is, there's so many different ways that we could do this. What I found is one of the great tools is to meet different people in the community, because we have our dojo that we train on a regular basis, and within that dojo we are able to hone our skills. We can do it in a comfortable manner where we can go to the lab every day, try new techniques, learn, follow a curriculum, have a professor that's watching our progress. And it's also nice to go out and try and maybe visit a different gym or go to an open mat. Nowadays, there's open mats every single week, multiple of them, where you can go to a different gym and train with multiple people from different gyms. And for me, that's one way to keep jiu-jitsu fresh and to not lose interest, because when you are doing something new and novel, training with somebody that you never trained before, then it really sparks something in your brain, and it's almost kind of like a tournament where you're going against somebody that maybe you've never gone before, and it's kind of fun and scary at the same time. So it's a great way to get out of our comfort zone, and that is a great way for us to get better, to become inspired, because you'll go somewhere. When we train with the same people on a day basis, sometimes we can get into a routine, which is good because you'll start to fine-tune the details of your technique. But on the other hand, you start doing the same patterns, and I can understand how that could become boring. So when you go to a different gym for an open mat, and then you realize, oh man, my techniques are becoming exposed, or my techniques are working, because I'm going with somebody who doesn't know my techniques. And then at the same time, I might come into contact with a technique that I've never seen before. And that can really inspire you and make you want to train more and get better. In fact, the other day I went to an open mat and I trained with another black belt, and I had an opportunity to use my best pass on them. And once I get to that pass, I feel very comfortable, and I feel like I know the majority of the reactions that people are going to do on me to try to defend that pass. And this person actually did something that I can't remember anybody doing ever in 20 years of me using that pass to guard. And they ended up tapping me with a shoulder lock. And I was like, whoa, that was different. And that was cool because, even though I know that pass to guard very well, I was able to learn something new from this person. And so, I still tell my students that I'm a black belt. I've been a black belt for, 11 years. And I'm still learning how to fight from the mount. I'm still learning details on Americana. I'm still learning how to transition from side control to mount. So these things that you learn as a white belt that sometimes you think, oh, I know this technique, or I know that, I want to learn something different. But when you go back and you revisit these techniques over and over and over again, you realize, I never really knew that technique. I thought I knew it, but I didn't. So that's kind of a nice humbling way for us to continue to be inspired, to revisit techniques, to train with different people. And I mentioned that open mats are kind of like a tournament, you know? So I think that's another way to not lose interest in BJJ, is to do a tournament, or to regularly do tournaments, because you know those weeks or months leading up to a tournament, you are motivated to train, get in the gym, to improve your technique, to improve your cardiovascular, your physical attributes, to develop strategies, and to fine tune your game to go to the tournament and perform at your best. And this is a great way to keep jiu-jitsu fresh and to keep motivation, because when you have a goal or a date in place in the future, you have something to train for. And this is something that I did, and as white belt all the way till now, I'm still competing actively on a regular basis, especially when I was going through the color belts, because I felt every time I competed, I leveled up my game, I would say equal to like 1 month of training. So, you know, I mean, this is just my general statement, but whenever you're training every day, you get better little by little by little by little, and you might not see those incremental improvements. However, they're there, and sometimes you feel like you hit a plateau or something. But when you go to the tournament, you improve your game like a big jump. I would say at least like a 2 weeks of training or a month of training, depending on how often you train. And the lessons that you learn in those tournaments, you'll never forget. And so, you know, you get ready for a tournament, and you're training for weeks, and you get in good shape, and you're losing weight, and you feel like you're very healthy, and you go do the tournament, and then you don't perform at your best, you lose in the match, and then you're like upset and sad and pissed off. And then after those emotions finally go away, what unsurfaces is need to do it again. You're like, okay, I can improve here, 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 and here. I did well here. Now I'm ready for the next challenge. So it becomes almost addicting going to the tournaments, because of that the adrenaline and the feeling of getting better, or performing in front of a crowd, or learning so much about yourself. Everything that you do on that tournament mats, you're exposing yourself, you know, you're becoming vulnerable, and that's something that we don't do on a regular basis. So that can be quite a great feeling, and addicting, and wanting to recreate those moments so that we can self-improve ourselves. So I guess so far, the good, some of the tools that we have to not get bored with jiu-jitsu, or to keep jiu-jitsu interesting, is one, train, you know, do some cross training, go train with different people every once in a while, go to an open mat regularly, maybe once a week or a couple times a month. Find your local gym that does an open mat. In fact, we do an open mat every Sunday. So if you're a Daruma Dojo member, if you come on Sunday, you're gonna have people that come in that aren't a regular member, and you get to train with. And then number two is to do a tournament. It doesn't have to be a big world championship, Pan American championships. It could just be a local tournament. Even if there's only one other person in your bracket, you know, you get to go against somebody that's different, and the weeks leading up to it and the weeks after of improving your game will really inspire you. And now I'm gonna say the last thing I'm gonna leave for today is instructionals. I mean, there's so many other tools that I can give on how to keep jiu-jitsu interesting. But the main thing, I think another main thing is keep studying. So the moment, like I mentioned earlier, the moment you think that you know something, you already are losing. Okay, we have to stay humble, because we're gonna continue to learn. And one good way to do that is to purchase instructionals. Like even myself, I am building an instructional, educational library for the public. And I did a half guard seminar. I'm working on some fundamental instructionals that are coming out next year. And you can get a BJJ Fanatic account. I mean, there's so many resources. I have a BJJ Fanatic account with so many instructionals that I don't even have time. I can't finish it in a lifetime. Okay, so find something that interests you, whether it's a position or an athlete or just something completely new that you want to get better at, and study. Because then when you have your curriculum that your dojo does and your professor does, but that does not mean that you cannot do independent study, right? You can, let's say you want to learn more about spider guard. Well, you figure out who is good at spider guard, and then you watch their matches or you watch their instructionals, and then you take it, a little bit at a time or however much you can handle. And then when you come to the gym during the open mat time, drill. Grab a partner and say, hey, can we practice for like 5 minutes, a position, and then you drill it, right? And also try it during live sparring. Sometimes in the class, we have positional sparring where we're looking for specific goals. However, there's also a lot of time during the class, especially if you're doing like the beyond fundamentals or intermediate or advanced classes where the sparring becomes a little more freeform. Then you can try to implement the techniques that you're learning on the instructionals. Now, the higher level that you are, the more success you're going to have in that. Like myself, certain techniques I watch on instructional or YouTube video, and then without even trying it, I'm able to do it in sparring. Now, that may be true for you or not. I think best practice is to drill it a little bit to kind of get a feel for the position. Even myself, there's certain positions that I can't get during sparring right away. I have to feel it. Especially when it comes to certain positions like inversions or beating bolos or back takes with the crab rides or all these kind of like more fancy things like matrix back takes. Like those are things that I have to drill a bunch of times to feel the position before I'm able to hit it in sparring. But now if it's something that I'm a little more comfortable with, then I bet I could probably just watch the video, kind of watch it a few times, okay, and then during sparring, try it. And you might also want to be particular with who you're trying the technique with during sparring. If you're learning a new technique that's challenging and then you're going against a training partner who's a really tough training partner, your main objective might be your defense and not so much these lasso inversion sweep that you learned. So maybe you have to pick and choose a partner where you can try new things. And that's another way to get out of your comfort zone, because when we try new things, then sometimes we make mistakes, or we ended up getting our guard passed or swept and get smashed and maybe eventually tapped. However, you were able to learn along the way and maybe improve, opposed to always going down the same patterns and getting better in a much slower pace. So, I've seen professors that believe in, all right, this is the system, and don't stray from the system. We don't want to get overwhelmed with all this different jiu-jitsu out there and YouTube videos and instructionals. And I 100% disagree with that, because, in order to in order to stay inspired and in order to not lose interest or get bored of jiu-jitsu, is I want to constantly experiment. I want to constantly try new things. Even if I might spend a week or two practicing a certain position or techniques, and maybe out of the whole 100% of these new techniques, I might only implement 5% to my game in the long run. Okay, and for me that's still a win, because I was able to get out of my comfort zone, learn new things, and implement a part of it or some concepts into my game. So I 100% believe in experimenting, being creative, independent study, trying new things, utilizing the open mat time. Okay, at Duruma Dojo we have like every single day 2+ hours of open mat time where the students can use the mat to do whatever they want as far as sparring, drilling, practicing techniques, hanging out. And not all gyms have that much open mat time, but most gyms have some allotted times where after or before the class that you can use the mat. Okay, and if you want to improve, those are the times that you can use. And if you want to get better, everybody can go to a group class on 3 days a week, but are you going to stay after and drill or spar for an extra 30 minutes to an hour on a regular basis? Now that's what's going to set you apart. So to recap, how do we not lose interest in jiu-jitsu? Well, 1, go to your local open mat. 2, sign up for a tournament. And 3, watch instructionals. Okay, and on top of that, there's so many more that I can go into, but I'm gonna leave it for that for now. And if you have any other questions or that you want to add to the Ask a Black Belt playlist, just drop it in the comments and I'll get to it. Thank you.